Blood carries two kinds of information. In biology, it moves oxygen, keeps the body running. In culture, it carries something older: identity, lineage, the proof that you belong somewhere. Blood tells a person where they came from. Choso received blood and nothing else. He is a death painting, a being fused from a cursed spirit and a human in an experiment run by a man who felt nothing for the result. He was not raised. He was not taught. He spent over a century sealed away, cut off from every interaction through which a mind learns what it is. No childhood, no language for right and wrong, no model for how a person is supposed to function. He woke carrying a single piece of data. Other beings shared his blood. Those beings were his brothers. From that one fact, with nothing else available, Choso built an entire self, a moral code, an identity, a reason to keep existing. Everything he became, he assembled from the ground up using the only foundation his origin left behind. This is the story of what he built and what it cost.
We'll side with the cursed spirits.
Are you sure about that?
The future those cursed spirits painted is more convenient for us. That's all there is to it. And now listen up, brothers. Eso, you live for Kechizu. Kechizu, you live for me. And I'll live for you, Eso. We three are one.
No one wanted them. That's the short version. Choso's younger brothers carried their cursed nature in their appearance. Their bodies marked them as inhuman on sight. Before they could speak, before they could show anyone who they were. Sorcerers saw targets. Humans saw threats. Neither side had a door that opened for them. The underworld did. Choso didn't join the cursed spirits because he believed in their cause. He joined because they were the only ones willing to let his family exist. He stepped into the role of predator so his brothers would never be treated as prey. And that choice destroyed them anyway. By placing his brothers on the side of the curses, by committing them to a war against the human world, Choso walked them directly in front of the sorcerers capable of killing them. The exact outcome he had rebuilt his entire existence to prevent. The one decision he organized his whole identity around produced the opposite of what it was designed to guarantee. The protective instinct and the fatal error lived inside the same choice. Quick pause here. Choso built his entire moral compass from scratch, using loyalty to his brothers as his only foundation. Our foundation for growth is your support. If this analysis is making you see the story in a deeper way, please help out by subscribing, leave a like, and hit the hype button to boost the video. It really strengthens our project. Let's get back to the story. Grief condenses into a single objective: find and kill Yuji Itadori, the sorcerer he holds responsible for the death of Iso and Kechizu. Choso hunts him, corners him in Shibuya.
Yuji Itadori.
I will avenge my brothers!
He comes close enough to finishing the job that the outcome seems decided, and then his blood fires a signal his conscious mind hasn't caught up to yet. A recognition underneath thought, underneath intention, an alarm at the level of biology. Yuji carries his blood. Everything reorganizes in a single beat. Yuji is not the target. Yuji is a brother. Look at what just happened. Choso allied with curses to protect his brothers, and that alliance got them killed. Then he hunted Yuji to avenge them and nearly murdered the last brother he had left. Every single move he made to honor his blood almost destroyed it. The compass he built from scratch kept pointing him straight into the fire, and underneath all of it, Kenjaku, the man who made him. The absent creator who engineered every condition that turned the brothers into targets, who planted the blood connection to Yuji that Choso nearly severed with his own hands. Someone who saw his own offspring as instruments and discarded them in the same breath he built them. In the hole where that father should have stood, Choso stepped in. He strapped the weight of the family to his own back, converted the title of older brother into the load-bearing wall of who he is. Protecting Yuji stopped being a choice. It became the reason a discarded experiment kept drawing breath at all. From this point on, we are entering heavy manga spoiler territory. If you haven't finished the manga, you've been warned. The identity holds through the aftermath of Shibuya and into the next phase of the war. What it doesn't survive is the weight piling up inside him. Choso is assigned to guard Tengen alongside Yuki Tsukumo. The posting separates him from Yuji. As they part, Choso asks for one thing: that Yuji live. What the following chapters expose is a mind quietly caving in under the guilt of being alive. That specific rot that settles on someone who survived what others didn't and becomes convinced the wrong person was spared. Choso holds himself responsible for everything. He carries the deaths of Eso and Kechizu not as a tragedy that happened to him, but as a failure he caused. His choices led them to the battlefield. His weakness failed to shield them on it, and the fact that he is still breathing while they are not sits inside his chest like a verdict he can't appeal. Before the confrontation with Kenjaku, Choso confesses to Yuki the thing he's been hiding. He wants to die fighting his creator. He frames it as justice, the appropriate price for his failures. But underneath the framing, it's the pull towards self-destruction that rises when guilt has grown too heavy to carry. The mind's attempt to resolve unbearable pain by eliminating the body that contains it. And the cruelty tucked inside that wish is its own contradiction. Choso would repeat the same pattern in a new form. His choices condemned his brothers. Now, by seeking his own end, he would condemn Yuji to the one fate Choso organized his whole existence to prevent, standing alone with nobody beside him. The fight against Kenjaku follows, and it carries the answer to a question the rest of the story had been asking. Kenjaku beats Choso down repeatedly, with the indifference of someone disciplining a broken tool, and Choso rises every time. What he rises on is his brothers. Their images appear beside him on the battlefield, not as ghosts, not as literal presences, as the memory of what they meant, summoned into the fight as the fuel that keeps his body upright when his body has stopped cooperating. Before Kenjaku can finish him, Yuki spends her life to save his, and that act does something far crueler than rescue. By trading herself to keep him alive, she strips away his last escape hatch. The permission to die as a curse, to vanish the way curses do, without consequence, without memory, without having to face the full weight of what he's done. She burns that door shut. He chose to be a curse. He sided with them, fought as one, wanted to die as one, and now he can't. Yuki's sacrifice didn't just save his body, it ripped that identity off him. He is no longer allowed to be the disposable thing Kenjaku built. He is no longer allowed to disappear without a trace. He is human now, and humans don't get to vanish. The obligation to keep living becomes heavier than the relief of dying would have been. He has to carry the full weight of everything he's done and failed to do, not as a curse seeking its own erasure, but as a person sentenced to survive his own guilt. Choso accepted what curses never carry and humans cannot set down: the duty to go on existing inside your own consequences, with no exit offered and none permitted. The curse is dead. The human has begun, and the human walks into a fight he cannot win. Against Sukuna, Choso is outmatched on every front. Sukuna launches his fire arrow, an attack built to erase everything in its path. Yuji is in that path. Choso places himself between his brother and the flame. He uses his own blood, the one material his existence was ever organized around, to build a barrier. His body absorbs what was meant to annihilate. As he comes apart, he apologizes for not having taught Yuji enough, even dissolving, even burning. The protector apologizing for the quality of the protection while the protection is killing him. He saves Yuji knowing Yuji has surpassed him, knowing the boy can carry the rest of the distance alone. Kenjaku built him as a tool. The tool spent its existence becoming a person, and the person, in his final seconds, used the one thing his creator gave him, the blood, to prove that the creator never owned what the blood was for. Choso was sorted into the discard pile before his consciousness had fully formed. Experiment, anomaly, curse. What the labels failed to predict was whether the thing they were attached to would accept them. He didn't. Not through argument or rebellion, but through the slow, stubborn act of building a self out of the only material left after the world took everything else away: blood. The memory of brothers who died on a path he chose for them. The discovery of a brother he nearly killed before the blood told him to stop. The borrowed time a woman purchased with her own life, on the condition that he spend it as a human rather than waste it as a curse. He built his humanity without any of the conditions that were supposed to make it possible, because the only alternative was to vanish entirely, and he refused that too. At the end, the blood he built himself around became the barrier that kept his brother alive. The material was the same from the first moment to the last. Blood carrying information, carrying identity, carrying the single proof that he belonged to something rather than to nothing. The only difference is that by the end, the belonging was chosen, not inherited, and a choice made freely from inside a self assembled with his own hands is the part no label could account for.